Anything yet? Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, we're loading up now, it looks like. I need to wait, 10, 15 seconds to make sure that YouTube's allowing this to upload. But it looks like people are watching, so that's good. Hey, it's Thursday night, everybody. And oh, I've been watching things. I've been watching things so close. I'm getting ready to leave for a week. I'm going to be probably, I could do some live streams while I'm gone. I'm just not sure. We'll see how it is as things progress or digress or fall apart, as the case may be. Welcome, everyone, as you come in. Like I said, today's Thursday. It is the 16th of June, 2022. And while I'm gone, we will be passing the year mark for the passing of Bettina Ursula Brancato, that you would know best as Nancy Morgan Hart of Headlines with a Voice. So I will probably do something sometime around that date next week. Nothing extremely formal, but at least mentioning it. I might add to that also, and you might wonder why I'm doing it now, but the 14th year of the passing of my wife occurred last week. And so I keep that a little more private for some personal reasons, but uh, June has been a rough year or a rough month in a lot of ways for some of the losses that have occurred. I lost a child, uh, not quite around June, but it was pretty close, and of course, my wife Carol and Bettina as well. So this is an interesting month. I'm glad audio is perfect. Thank you. Hey Walter, how you doing? All right. I wasn't really planning on doing this tonight. You know how it is. It kind of sneaks up on me. Let me fix this thing here. This is just a little too high. I never quite get it right. I've got to actually see it during the live stream to know that, it's okay. Let's see if this is a little better. I don't know if Felicia Lockhart is doing a live stream tonight. If I am doing this when she's up, I apologize. You just lost your dog. Yeah, I'm sorry. I lost my shepherd here about 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Yeah, that's tough. It's tougher to lose family, though, and loved ones. Happy Father's Day. Thank you. Yeah. A lot of people don't want to say that to me because I've got a big family, right? And I got it in a way that most of them wouldn't approve of because of their prudish Christian ideas that aren't really backed up by Scripture, but that's okay. Nothing against anybody who feels that way. It's just that I hope that you won't hold me in any disrespect, right? Okay. And if you do, well, let's wait. Hey, by the way, I'm having. I talked to one of my good friends tonight, a retired police officer, and told him, hey, you know what? I'm going to try some Black Velvet Reserve in some tonic water. That's what this is. And it's actually pretty good. I'm surprised. So it might be one reason why, I'm not too wound up at this point, although there are a lot of reasons to be. Okay, well, let's get to the topic at hand. L'chaim. Oh, l'chaim. Yes, Hein. I don't want to get into any spiritual stuff right away if we do it all, because usually I don't do that if I'm having a little bit of this liquid courage. So let me get to the subject at hand. First of all, I want to say that I've had some interesting interactions on Twitter, for any of you who follow me on Twitter. And there's been a big to do in Kansas, of course, about the loss of. It varies. Some reports say 1,000 cattle, and they look like they're Angus. 1,000 cattle. Some say 3,000, 10,000, and the stupid ass government of Kansas says it's because of the heat. And I just want, and I've been arguing this with one particular individual on Twitter about that. I have friends that are ranchers. I've been around cattle quite a bit around my life. And of course, I was at Bundy Ranch, which is down in southern Nevada, which gets extremely hot. And frankly, the only cattle that died at Bundy Ranch were those that BLM killed. Okay? As long as the cattle have access to water, they're okay. 1,000, 3,000, 10,000 cattle, they aren't dying because of 103-degree temperature. That's baloney. So the governments are hiding something even at the state level. And that's the reason why I decided to come on tonight, because they're attacking us. You realize this is the modern way of siege warfare. They're taking away your food supply, which is one reason why I went to Bundy Ranch in 2014, because I realized that that's what they were doing. We can talk about all of the food processing plants that have gone up. It's something like 95 to 97 now since 2021. I'm sorry, 2020. Yeah, that's right. 2021 and 2022. We're up to something like 97. These are not coincidences, ladies and gentlemen, and neither are the loss of the cattle around the country, especially in Kansas. That's not a coincidence. That's not because of climate change, warming, none of that. No, something else is going on. I might remind you that in the 70s, I was at Tooele Army Depot. I was the provost marshal at Tooele Army Depot. And just prior to me getting there, or it may have been just after, I'm not sure right now, there was a big loss of sheep in the area around Dugway Proving Ground, which was where they were testing a lot of weapons, particularly biological and chemical weapons. And a lot of sheep died there. And it was a big deal in Utah. I think it even made national news. Well, this is the same kind of thing. It's not the temperatures. If the farmers and the cattlemen were stupid enough not to make sure that there was enough water in the different troughs and springs and cisterns, etc., for the cattle, yeah, maybe. But they're not going to be that stupid, ladies and gentlemen. That's their financial well-being. No, I don't believe that this had anything to do with the weather. This was something else entirely. And I'm going to remind you that there was this slaughter of sheep at Dugway Proving Ground which apparently they were exposed to some kind of a chemical or biological nerve agent, most likely chemical. And this was back in the 70s. You can look it up. Dugway Proving Ground. They denied that it was them, but it was. It was them. Okay? So something else is going on here. We have, and I can't say a whole lot because, of course, they'll get censored, right? So the fact of the matter is, they're attacking our food system, and it's real obvious for anybody who has studied these types of warfare procedures. We can see it, okay, and it's happening here in the United States as well as around the world. And Mr. Santa Claus, read between the lines, Klaus, he's already said as much. And of course, Mr., as Monty would say, Billy Goats, has said that, they're going to do away with meat, right? However you feel about that, whether you think that we should go back to that or whatever, the fact is you can't throw away a resource unless you have something else that can replace it, and that's why Biden's whole thing with the cutting off of the gas drilling, etc., the oil drilling, etc., in the United States is so ridiculous, because without having something already in place to replace it, he has put us in a situation now where we're going down, ladies and gentlemen. We're going down. Fuel is food in our society. Yeah, hello to more. Yeah. And it's not by accident. It's not because of things that they can't control. I've talked about this in the past quite a bit, that almost every famine that's ever occurred, including the Irish famine, the potato famine, has been caused by political operations. Governments. Governments kill more people than any criminal organization ever has, because governments are criminal organizations. So them trying to take your weapons away from you because they're afraid you might use them. Yeah, you might use them to protect yourself against them. Governments have killed millions and millions of people, and they say you're dangerous with one because they try to show these different situations that occur. And I'm not going to go into some detail there. I think you understand why. It's just not a good idea. But what I really wanted to hit on tonight, and this is the reason why I decided to come on, ladies and gentlemen, our governors are lying pieces of shit. They're betraying us. They've gone along with the program, even Ron DeSantis. Okay, I'm coming out on him as well. We have this entire reset going on. I'm going to say it one time, I'm not going to say it again. We have the attack on our food supply, which is obviously being orchestrated by somebody with a lot of power. It's not coincidence. They're attacking our ability to sustain ourselves. They're even talking about, Biden is even saying that he's going to cut off natural gas. But you see what's happening. How is it possible that Biden, and of course he's a lobotomized, stuffed suit, somebody else is running this behind the scenes, whether it be Obama, doing it for, somebody else up the line, and we could name a lot of different people. The bottom line is there's nobody standing in there defending us. Hi, Roosevelt. How you doing? I didn't bring this up to you tonight. I'm sorry, it happened kind of quickly. You know how it is. I hope you're doing okay, Roosevelt. What I see right now is that the governors need to stand up, and they're not. Governor DeSantis is probably the best example, and he's failing miserably. He still hasn't called out the Trump juice to the point that he should. But it goes further than that, ladies and gentlemen. We're being warred upon. They are the governments that we instituted to protect us are actually warring against us. I can't put it any more simply than that, and I think most of you realize it. So what I'm going to say tonight is this. The governors of the states, and I would go down to even the county sheriffs. I don't trust the mayors. The mayors, there are some things that have happened even down in Utah where the county sheriff has been replaced by what they call a unified police, which is really nothing more than a police chief that's controlled by the county commission, the mayor. So it's nothing more than a city. They've done away. There's a county sheriff still, but it's basically for rescue work and things like that. They're really destroying the whole thing. So they're destroying the sheriff's, Jim Williams, just so you know. Unfortunately, I can testify that I know a lot about that because my brother was actually involved in that situation. And I won't go into any detail, but he was a captain on the sheriff's office in Salt Lake County. He was working towards this unified concept where all of the cities would come under this. But that's a whole nother story. I'm not going to go there tonight. What I really want to talk about, what I'm really pushing on, is the fact that if the governors are not coming, and I don't know, there may be some that are, but I just don't see any evidence of it. If the governors are not coming up with a plan to protect the food supply, to protect your fuel, to protect your rights under the God-given rights that the government are supposed to protect under the Constitution and the state governments. If the governors are not doing any of those things, they are your enemies. I don't care what little word dressings they use, their little word salads. I don't care what they say. if they're not taking on the federal government and saying, we're going to do this whether you like it or not, we're going to have a state militia that doesn't answer to you, that's made up of military age men in our state. We're going to protect the right of the people to keep and bear arms. We're not answering to you. We're going to ensure if we have land that the federal government's claiming all this land. Yeah, right. Take it back. The states need to take it back. The enabling acts are critical. If you don't know what an enabling act is, you need to look it up. And the governors know what they are. If an enabling act that's sent to Congress to enable a state to become a state, and they make concessions as a territory before they become a state, all of those enabling act subjects, are null and void once the state becomes a state. If not, then they are not coming in on equal footing. And this was a big deal on a lot of issues back in the 1800s and early 1900s. But at the very least at this point, if you have a governor like the little piece of crap in Utah, Governor Cox, that there's some women that have gone forth and tried to find out about what the situation is with the voting problem in Utah. And this Governor Cox said, if you do that, I'm going to come after you. He told that to the state legislatures. Who the hell does he think he is? He's protecting his own criminal conduct. And then the lieutenant governor, a woman, told these women who were trying to do this that she's going to sick the feds on them. Do you see what's going on? If you have a governor that's not going to stick up for you, they're your enemy, ladies and gentlemen. Plain and simple. What do we do about it? That's the next question. I can't address that here. The UN takeover in Utah, the UN came in and had a meeting at the Salt Palace. This was about 2 or 3, maybe 4 years ago. And that really has nothing to do with what's going on right now. That they gave them jurisdiction at the Salt Palace in Salt Lake City. Don't confuse that with what I'm talking about here. Jew Potter? Jew? Roosevelt, you want to throw that guy off of here, Cybergun 01? Cybergun 01, I'm sorry to bother you, Roosevelt, but you can, a Jew. You piece of shit. You piece of shit. I'd throw you off, but I don't have a way to do that, at least not easily when I'm on the phone. Jew. Now, I think you're probably a Zionist, Cybergun 01. There's a difference between ancient Israelite religion and the Jews. A lot of difference. And if you would have the guts to read my book, The Crimson Thread, you'd know I know a lot more about it than you, piece of shit, Cybergun 01. Tonight's not a night for spiritual niceties. So I will go to it again. The governors, unless they stand up, unless they ensure that you have availability of food, here's how it should work. The governor of a state can see what's going on with the destruction of our food supply and the processing and the transportation and the entire system of support. They should look at that and they should start bringing people in their state if they can't even make agreements with other state governors. Bring people in their state, their cattlemen, their farmers, their oil, all these people, bring them into a meeting and say, look, we've got to stand on our own. The federal government says that they're going to use the supremacy clause of the Constitution to override us. The Supremacy Clause only works on constitutional issues. And when the governments deny constitutional issues, the Supremacy Clause is null and void. So your governors right now need to start bringing in their National Guard. They need to form a state militia out of the regular people that have their own weapons in their state. They need to bring together the farmers and the ranchers for food supply. They need to bring in any of the people that are, any of the companies that are drilling oil and all that, and say, to hell with you, federal government. Your Supremacy Clause is null and void under the circumstances. And if you don't like what we're doing, try to enforce it against us. So Governor Cox, if you don't do this, you're betraying the people of your state. Governor Gordon in Wyoming, if you're not going to do this, you're betraying the people of your state. You're wimps. You sold yourself out to the enemy of the people, and you've become the enemy of the people. If there is no governor, and DeSantis is probably the best example. If there is no governor that's willing to come out and call out Trump for his juice, his sea juice, in no uncertain terms, everything else that they're doing is propaganda to work against you psychologically. No, I'm not going to talk about Ukraine tonight. That's such a joke. I told you back in February that the Russians will kick our ass because we're nothing but a bunch of wimps. And how can I say this? Charlie, Romeo, tangos. I'll put it that way. That's all we are. And it's been in the works since I went in the Army in the 70s. And it's coming to its fruition now. You know, I despise Milley, General Milley, and SecDef Austin. I despise them. I loathe Trump. And I talked to some ladies the other day. Met them in a store. Didn't really bring up much, but I gave them my YouTube site and things. And I think they got upset because they're probably, one said that she's a converted Christian, and the other seemed like she was pretty conservative, But, they probably saw me saying that I don't trust Trump. And so they said, oh, we can't listen to him. He's for Biden or whatever. People never look beneath. They never really look at the detail. The American people are gone. Their culture of satisfaction now, I'm going to make my decision based on a very narrow band of information, a very shallow investigation, because I don't want to waste my time. I just want to move on and enjoy life. I want to make my decisions based on superficial information. That's where the Americans are, and they've been taught to do this because of the media and the government. And I think you all know that. So I keep hoping that at some point I'll start to see the American people understand really what's going on and be able to act on it. For instance, this thing about telling the governors, you either do this or we're going to take action. And it have to be from the county level. They've sewn everything up. Down in Utah, for instance, it's pretty obvious that the WEF and Schwab have influenced the elections, which is one of the things these women wanted to look at, that the governor and the lieutenant governor came down on them for. They asked for a FOIA information on grandma, which is the Utah voting system, and they were denied. And as a matter of fact, the way the Utah is set up, they destroy all of the evidence, all of the information. Can you believe that? I've talked a lot about Utah being the seat of support for the Luciferian culture. Mormon Church had a good start. Joseph Smith was actually talking about uh, not so much history, but what was happening with the secret societies and how it was going forward. He's been maligned both by non-Mormon and Mormon alike, and I'm not standing up for Joseph Smith. What I'm telling you is that he was trying to show people the big deal in the Book of Mormon is secret societies that would take over nations and all of that, and that if you allow that to happen, it will destroy you. Because he was in a secret society, he saw how they were working. You might not like the rest of his doctrine, but that's really what he was about. I'm not going to get into any more of it than that. We had General Butler, Marine General, who this is back in the 30s, and they came to him, the military industrial complex, and said they wanted him to overthrow the country, that they would give him access to weapons and troops, and that he could overthrow the country, especially Delano Roosevelt. Well, I don't like Roosevelt, but he pointed out, he refused, as a matter of fact. Ladies and gentlemen, this is all real. Your government is not your friend. It is your enemy, especially today. So again, if we're going to be serious and survive this storm that is now upon us, all right, the governors need to take action. Farmers, ranchers, oil producers, medical people, National Guard. Don't let the federal government use them anymore. So what if they take your funding away? If and all the states aren't going to do this, I realize this. This is dangerous, but it's time to take a stand and give the finger to DC. You have to become independent, self-sufficient states, or you're going to be destroyed. Russia's shown how to do it. You know, Russia's getting a bad deal right now. All these people in D.C. are saying all these terrible things about Russia. Russia, you know, I've told you, I don't believe that Putin is part of the WF. I think he got in it to see what was going on, and now he's drawn out. I could be wrong, but regardless, they don't know what to do with him. Or let's just say it is part of the program and he's destroying the West. That's fine. As I've said before, and Jacob Drazen doesn't want me to say this on his channel, but the United States deserves to be destroyed because we have turned our back on every principle that we ever said we stood for. I'm not saying I'm going to do it. I'm saying it's a cause and effect. I'm going to ask you all to do me a favor. People will take a single tweet that I do on Twitter or something that I say on a YouTube channel or in an interview that I do and make some far-reaching decision that I'm counter to them. I'm for the principle of liberty. That's all I care about. I'm not going to argue about anything else. If you're not for liberty, you're the enemy. I don't care if you're a preacher on a pulpit, a government official, or a homeless hermit on the street. If you don't defend liberty, you are the enemy. You are ungodly and you are a devil. So I would ask that before you make judgments about what you hear me say, that you at least take the time to look over more than one section of a video that I put up, or even several of them. The video I did last, I said I don't trust Trump. And people make judgments based on that. Well, they shouldn't trust Trump either, based on his track record. But when I said that, they automatically assume I'm a liberal Marxist Democrat that supports Biden because they don't bother to look any further into it. It's so troubling to them. Oh my goodness. You better start learning and be willing to look more than at the superficial, shallow information that the MSM feeds you constantly, and they get it from the intelligence community, the CIA, the FBI, etc., and the WEF at this point. Am I a little miffed? Yeah, I am. My people perish for lack of knowledge. Boy, isn't it the truth? Do I have all the knowledge? No, I'm not claiming that. But I sure don't shut my eyes and stop my ears because I don't want to hear something that's uncomfortable. They're destroying you, ladies and gentlemen. And your governors refuse to take action. Rand Paul gets up there and goes back and forth with Fauci and then never says what the deal really is, which is to kill you and your posterity. He won't do it. Is he your friend? Tulsi Gabbard. Her word salads are really wonderful. Man, she's been taught, in the Army, you're taught how to deal with the media. You're told about how to use voice inflection and raise your eyebrows, open your eyes, open your face, make sure that your background doesn't contradict what you're saying. So you set everything up so that what you say, how you act, the way you say it, supports the narrative, even if it apparently doesn't. When Tulsi Gabbard came out against the WEF, something I've asked her to do, as well as the CFR, etc., I gave her praises. And then people wanted to say, "Yeah, but she's part of the WEF." You don't think I don't know that? I was giving her a chance to show her true colors. And then she came out and did this nonsense on the Second Amendment and red flag laws, etc. Which, of course, is the next step because they can't take over unless you give up your ability to fight them. So as nice and as sweet and as logical as Tulsi Gabbard sounds, I finally had to call her out, which I've done in the past. I don't have any bones about telling somebody that they're full of shit, no matter how well their delivery is. So, no, I've decided that I can't trust Tulsi Gabbard. She still hasn't called out the CFR. And for her to make the stand that she did on the red flag laws she says she wants people to be able to have their Second Amendment rights, and then she stomps all over them just like Trump did with his take the guns first and then do due process. Is that constitutional? No. And it's rife with governmental and political corruption, betrayal, and murder. All right, I guess I'm done. I'll just say it again. The governors need to start making preparations. I don't know if they are or not, but I don't think they are. They need to bring in the different agricultural associations, organizations in their states. They need to bring in their different economic people, oil drillers, oil refineries, whatever. They need to start bringing in people that can help them to come up with another method of exchange. Utah did that, as a matter of fact, a few years ago. They made it so that gold was something that you could use as legal tender. I'm not sure where that stands today because Governor Cox is such a piece of shit. He's probably put a kibosh on it. He's changed. I've watched him over the last 2 years, and I can see a change in his countenance, and he's just purebred evil at this point. Governor Gordon of Wyoming, his problem is he kisses Liz Cheney's ass. I don't mince my words too much, do I? If you want people to speak nice things to you and be, so concerned about your feelings, you're coming to the wrong place if you want to listen to me. Because I'll tell you off. Well, Roy, who are you? Who do you think you are? There's a statement I'm thinking about putting on my business card. And it goes something like this, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard it before. I've seen it quite a bit, actually. There is no substitute for experience. And I've gone through all of it. That's all I got tonight. Again, I'm going to end on this. If your governors will not take the reins, I don't give a damn what the feds say about the supremacy clause. I don't care what they say about it. Or the interstate commerce clause. I don't care what they say about the feds. I don't care what they say. The governors have to take the reins and start doing something to ensure your survival. And if they don't do it, they're part of the plan to destroy you. And that's just the way it is. I guess I could take a few questions. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, that's right, Roosevelt. That's exactly the interstate commerce. Actually, it was just a guarantee that there would be free trade across state lines. Is really the original idea. Legal Man on Twitter. He also has a blog. It's a video blog or a podcast. I really appreciate what he says. I don't know if you know who he is, Roosevelt. Uh, uh, but basically, he says some very good things, and he says that, and of course, the history of this is that the Articles of Confederation came out, and then they decided that they needed to fix some things in the Articles of Confederation. This was the founding fathers, right? So they called a convention, and then they shut the doors, and they didn't tell anybody what they were doing, and they came out with the Constitution, which unfortunately didn't repair what they said they were going to do, which was to fix the weaknesses in the Articles of Confederation. What they did was is they came out with this Constitution, which was in effect giving more power to a central government, which is exactly what we didn't need. So it was a bait and switch. And I realize that. I realize that. But some people saw that it was happening, and that's why they stuck the Bill of Rights in there, which was kind of a stopgap for some of the problems that were obviously showing up in that convention. No, I don't trust Hamilton. I don't trust Franklin. I don't trust any of those guys because it's all about compromise. It's not about principle, it's about compromise. And that's why I said a long time ago I don't care if we get rid of the Constitution. What we can't get rid of is the Bill of Rights, and especially, I mean, all of them, but especially the one that says that any of those rights not enumerated here remain with the states and with the people. The people are the final arbiters of their liberty and of their governance. So the Constitution was put in with no teeth to take out those who actually violate it. Oh, they're going to get taken out at the next ballot box? Yeah, that worked out real well, didn't it? There should have been capital punishment for violating their oath of office. Capital punishment. Hanging, shooting, boiling in oil, whatever. I'm not going to say much about the CIA and the FBI. My channel motto says it all. The intelligence community is our most dangerous domestic enemy. And that's true. Hi, Felicia. Again, I didn't tell anybody it was coming up. I did this in the last minute. All right. And I'm having, this is tonic water with a little bit of black velvet reserve in it. Isn't that funny? And I'm not talking scripture because I'm drinking alcohol. I guess I've said a few things scripturally, but that really wasn't my plan tonight. Yeah, we're heading towards continuity of government. Don't kid yourself. That's been in place for a long time. It's been in place. Criminals in action, CIA. I like that. Yes, that's very true. That's very true. Yeah, I saw that about the Patriot Front or whatever it is. We already knew they were feds back when they were in D.C. That was real obvious. Yeah. We all need a drink. Kimmy? Yeah, nice to see you, Kimmy. I'm not sure who you are. I think that's the first time I've noticed you. Russian Gazprom explosion today. Yeah, I know. See, Russia has embarrassed the Western powers. Again, that's why I say I don't think Putin's really a part of this whole drama that's going on. I really don't think so. He could just see the writing on the wall, and he's concerned about his own people. If Putin has been anything, he's been a Russian patriot. He has. You know, we may not have liked his modus operandi, but the fact of the matter is that that's his. Putin is exposing. Yeah, that's right. That's right. All the dead cows, I already addressed that. That's not heat. I was at Bundy Ranch in 2014 and through the summer, and the only cows that died were those that the BLM killed. As hot as it was like 105 to 115, maybe even 120. As long as and those farmers aren't going to to forget to give their cattle water. So it's all bullshit. Okay, Kansas State that's doing that and stating that is an enemy. They know what's going on there. It's the same thing that happened with those cows. I'm sorry, those sheep at Dugway Proving Ground back in the 70s. Same kind of thing. I'm not saying it was nerve agent, but it was something that killed them. You know, some people have said, well, maybe it's the 5G turning out. Who knows? EMFs. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but there's no way in hell it was heat. No way. This is a war on the food supply. This is siege warfare in the 21st century. That's all it is. And again, the governors can't keep turning a blind eye to it. They've got to take action to bring together the resources in their states and even make agreements with neighboring states that can supply them with the things that their state can't. They need to start taking action and tell the DC people to go do this. There's no other way, ladies and gentlemen. There's no other way. Do you hear me, Governor Cox? Do you hear me, Governor Gordon? Do you hear me, Governor DeSantis? Do you hear me, Governor Abbott? And Governor Little in Idaho? Your lieutenant governor needs to have you arrested, piece of shit that you are. All right. You can tell, and it's not the alcohol that's doing this, because it's really watered down. Like I said, it's tonic water with a little bit of black velvet. But I'm just mad. I see what my kids are going to go through because of these criminals. As much as I dislike Elon Musk, and I have lots of reasons to dislike Elon Musk, he did admit one thing. He said that the Earth has not reached its carrying capacity and population, and I agree. The problem isn't the little people that are trying to survive and are growing their crops and having their livestock and that kind of thing. No, the problem is the robber barons that are poisoning our air with the stratosphere aerosol injection, that are throwing out the GMOs, that allow China and India to have coal plants and they don't even scrub their exhaust. We do. I'm a drunken Scotsman. Nah, I'm not quite there yet. I've only had, I guess it's been 2 shots, and most of it's tonic water. Hi, Zagene. Lysagene, how you doing? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. I appreciate you all being here. He's not drunk. No, I'm not drunk. No, I'm not. I'm really not. I will say that a little bit of liquid courage goes a long way. But you've heard me before when I have finally spoken out and I've just had enough of this lying bullshit. We need to start exacting discipline from these so-called leaders who are doing nothing but receiving money from not just Klaus Schwab and that group, but somewhere else. They are in unison with a wicked, evil entity. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it at all. Plant a garden, absolutely, Carol Reed. Was that Carol Reed? Carol Reed, yes. Planting a garden, that's a good revolutionary thing to do, like speaking the truth. AI is up and sentient. They've already declared it. They're saying that it has the mental capacity, the mental maturity of about an 8-year-old at this point. But it's just a matter of time. And this is their God. This is the God that they created themselves. And it's evil. It's evil. They've ever done there's a thing called, what do they call it? A palindrome. What's the palindrome of evil? Does anybody know? Give me the palindrome of evil. What's the palindrome of evil? Anybody know? That's right, Liza Jean. Dang, you're smart. Yeah, live and evil. Isn't that weird in the English language? Roosevelt, yes. Evil is opposite to live. Isn't that interesting how the language is constructed? Hebrew is very similar, by the way. Which brings up a point, and I'll close on this. I said I was going to do spiritual stuff, but I really need to at least mention this. Roy, AI is a short circuit. I hope it turns out it's going to foul up. It's not going to work the way they want. But the point is that they're building their little Tower of Babel. Okay, they really are. I was thinking about giving a short discussion on, again, who we are with the Tetragrammaton, the YHVH, the Yod He Vah He. Uh, and again, I don't hold, and all of you know this. Felicia and I talk about it quite frequently, actually. And Felicia is very much Hebraic. Okay, Felicia Lockhart, very much Hebraic. But I have some suspicions of that, and I've talked about it before. For instance, I talked about Jesus being a Samaritan, that he was accused of that, and he never denied it, and what that means to be an Ephraimite, not a Judah, not a Judahite, especially not a Jew. But tonight's not the night to go into that. What I will say is this, and I've hinted at this before, and I'm not here to use it as dogma to say that you need to embrace it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm bringing it up as a subject of concern, a subject to be investigated. Jesus said he was the Son of Man. And I've told you that my estimation is that, when you look in Josephus, well, I jump around a lot, don't I? I read to you the Tehebin here, right? Last video or the video before that. Do you realize that in Josephus, there's more information on the Samaritan prophet, the prophet of Lydda that Pilate crucified, than there is about Jesus, who was supposedly this Jewish Messiah? Have you ever wondered about that? Do you guys read this at all? There's a paragraph. It's called the Testimonium Flavianum, the testimony of the Flavians. Do you get that? It's even called the Testimonium Flavianum. The Flavians were the emperors. It's not a testimony of Jesus. It's a tongue-in-cheek deal. Whether Josephus put it in there, Jesus, talks about, no, there was this, it's a paragraph. This man, this Jesus, who was the Christ, this Jesus, this man, if it be lawful to call him a man, he was the Christ, and Pilate crucified him. A paragraph on the supposed Messiah of Israel. There's more information on James, his brother. And there's a hell of a lot more information, considering, on the prophet of Lydda and the real crucifixion of him by Pilate. The Teheb that I've talked about before. And Jesus, as I explained, was accused of being a Samaritan, not a Jew. So to end this tonight, I'll just say this. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what your denomination is. I got a real kick out of some things on Twitter the other day. People are out there, arguing Cyrus Scofield notes in the Scofield Bible, and I just was laughing my ass off. Because there is no legitimate reason, again, Catholics, I'm sorry, I got to pick on you. There is no legitimate reason for a Catholic to support Cyrus Scofield and his Scofield Bible. None. About futurism, millennialism, any of those things. I just get a kick out of it. Protestantism even influences Catholicism. I just can't believe it. And yet, they don't get it. They don't get it. If you don't know who Cyrus Scofield is, you need to look it up. A lot of you use Scofield Bibles and you don't even realize it. Not that that's necessarily bad, but the thing is you can't bet your life on it. And if you do, you're crazy. So again, I went back to this thing about the real Jesus, who he probably was in history, what he was really about. Yes, he did get resurrected. I do believe that. I think that's pretty obvious. But there was this division in his own family over whether the bloodline came down from Judah or from Ephraim. And I talk about that in my book. And I've talked about it here. I've talked about it on the Eisenman series that I did, in the playlists, on my religion series. Am I right? Well, it sure as hell makes a lot of sense to me. Maybe I should rephrase that. The father is responsible for his family. And the patriarchy, the birthright, went to Ephraim, not to Judah. And I explained that in the blessing of Jacob to his 12 sons, where he said to Judah, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver between his feet, until Shiloh comes. And who's Shiloh? Ephraim. He did baptize. Jesus did baptize, and I talked about that either last video or the one before that, where John the Baptist's disciples came to him and said, hey, this guy that you have been supporting, he's out baptizing. Are you going to tell him to stop? John said no. So he did baptize. Jesus did baptize, which goes along, I might add, with the information in Josephus about the prophet of Lydda, the Samaritan prophet, the Teheb, showing the implements and the rituals of Moses. We've been lied to by everybody. Everybody has an agenda. Everybody. Do I have an agenda? Well, nothing I make money off of, which is why I don't, whatever money is made here with the, from the if you go to my channel page, you see a very nice introduction there that was done by Pam Jones for my channel. And she created that, and some of that, because she used some other copyrighted material, they get royalties from that, but that's not mine. And it doesn't go to her either. Okay. Yeah, I like God be truth and every man a liar. The question is, which God? Right? Which God? Is it the God of the Bible? Really? A lot of you won't like me saying that, but there are some problems there, and I pointed those out time and time and time again. So getting back to this thing with Jesus, let me just say this, and I talked about it before. What does it mean by him calling himself Ben Adam, the Son of Man, which was in Daniel and in Enoch and in the Dead Sea Scrolls? Why did he say that? And why is it Adam, not Ish or Enosh? This is important to understanding who we are. And it goes back to the Tetragrammaton, the YHVH, the symbol of God's system. Don't let them pull that away from you. Don't let them camouflage it. Don't let them denigrate it. Yeah, it's in Ezekiel too. Thank you, Felicia. Exactly, it is. Ezekiel and Daniel kind of go hand in hand. And some people would say the book of Revelation, I'm going to probably step on a landmine here. Be careful with the book of Revelation. Um, Daniel and Revelation talk about what happened up through the destruction of the temple in 70 AD. Those who have studied it understand that's the case. Uh, Dispensationalists, futurists don't like that type of preterism, but it fits. I will say that I have to go a step further, which a lot of the preterists wouldn't like, where I understand that prophecy is type and shadow, that it can rhyme. It may not repeat, but it can rhyme. So I do think that we're seeing some important prophecy being fulfilled now, but that does not negate the fact that it was fulfilled before. The Flavians were the antichrists of their time. Josephus, I even talked about this in my Eisenman and Religious series. Josephus called Vespasian, the emperor of Rome, the Messiah that was promised to Palestine, to the Jews, to the Israelites. He fits an antichrist. I'm not going to get into all that tonight. Thank you again, Felicia. Thank you. Yeah, have our houses in order. If those governors aren't willing to bring forth the resources, bring them together and start making plans to help you get through this horrible situation that is about to unfold, then they are your enemy and they want you to die. They want you to be destroyed. So get on their case, get on their asses. And in the meantime, do all you can to get ready. What have I said? Prep, pray, stay out of the way. What's that about Putin? I know. People always want to bring Putin as former KGB, WF. Hey, I'm a former U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel, Razor Queen. Why are you here? Don't you understand that as the evil can infiltrate our organizations where we're trying to obtain liberty, don't you understand that somebody like Putin could infiltrate the evil organizations to find out what they're about? I'm not defending him. I'm saying that there's some things happening right now that are real obvious that maybe it's a big drama and we're being fooled. But the WEF isn't liking Putin right at the moment, and neither is the EU. And sure as hell, Biden doesn't like him. Does that mean I throw all my eggs in one basket on Putin? Hell no. They don't have drag queen story time in Russia. They don't have, I got to be careful how I say this, they don't have government sanctioned perversion parades. They don't have kids' sex being changed when they're 6 years old, etc., etc., etc. We do, Razor Queen. And it's government sanctioned and pushed. That's evil. You've got to learn to discern the fruits. By their fruits you shall know them. See that you be not deceived. And how do you know it? By their fruits you shall know them. Biden is an evil demon. And so is the United States government compared to what Russia and Putin are at this moment in time. Could it flip-flop later? Maybe. Yeah, come out of her, my people. Prep, pray, stay out of the way. All right, everybody, I'm going to go. Discernment is seeing between the black and white of things. That's right. Thank you all for coming. I know this was kind of sudden, but I really wanted to bring up this problem with the governors, that they need to step up and start doing things to prep for what's coming, and they're not. I had a good friend who texted me the other day, and I'm not going to say a whole lot about the situation, but he couldn't get some food that he needed. He had to go to a Mormon food bank to get it. Where was the governor of that state making sure that they could get around all this nonsense that's coming out of D.C. and out of New York, you know, UN, and out of Brussels, WEF, and Davos? The writing's on the wall, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Mene, mene, tekel ufarsen. If you don't know what that means, go look it up in Daniel. Mene, mene, tekel ufarsen. You have been weighed, you have been measured, and you are found wanting. And all of our government officials are in that category. Take care, everybody, out here.